Good day, I'm Richard from Pleasureway Industries, and today we'll be showing a Ontour 2.2 unit. We're going to start right here on the driver's door and move our way around and show you all the components, how they work. So right here at the driver's door, the first thing we're going to talk about is the gasoline fill. Just because it's a little bit different, we just pop it open. You have to open the driver's door to get at it. And there is a capless fill, so you don't have to remove anything when you get to the pump. You just stick your hose in there, when you take it out and close that door, that seals that back up for you. Nice and easy. Now, as we move down the unit, the next thing we want to talk about is the sewer system, the drain for gray tank and black tank. They are just underneath the edge of the unit here. There are two handles and a little cap. You take off the cap, hook up a sewer hose. On the rear one, like I said, there is a black handle. Like I said, that is your black tank. Like I said, I always start with that one first. That gets your solid waste out. And then on your front one is a gray handle, being your gray tank, which is showers, sinks, and such inside. And then when you pull that one, it helps wash out the hose, makes it easier before you can put that stuff away. And then just push them back in. The black one moves about 3 inches. The gray one moves about 1.5 inches, just so you know about how much you're supposed to, how far you're supposed to pull it. Don't have to pull it too hard, like I said, and allows the fluid to drain when you get to a station. Now behind those, up on top, are your low point drains. There are 3 valves there, one blue, one red, and one white. Like I said, they are for when you're winterizing your unit, like I said, to get the last of the water out of the lowest point in your water system. So once you've run your antifreeze through the system, like I said, the last thing you do is go down, open up those valves, like I said, and it'll allow the last of the water to flow out of your unit. All right. So next we'll come on to your water heater. This is your Truma AquaGo water system. The door just pops down. It's got a couple little handles or straps there to hold it in place. Now a couple things to show you here. First, on your right hand side is our on-off switch. You'll notice it says on both up and down. Doesn't make a difference. Like I said, either position works the same. So like I said, turn that on, and then all the rest of the controls are inside the unit. Now, the only other thing you want to talk about is over here where this big yellow thing is. This is your drain system. So we just push up on this little tab here and pull the yellow piece forward. This will slide down. Then your filter will come out and the water will flow out. That is how you drain this tank. Always make sure before you do this that you've released the pressure in your system. Either turned off your city water, turned off your pump, and opened a hot tap to release the pressure out. Otherwise, this will come shooting out of here, and we don't want that to happen. So just a little precaution there. The other thing I do to double check to make sure I've released the pressure is at the top there's a pressure relief valve, and I just give that a little pull outwards. You'll get a little bit of water squirting out of here just to let you know that the pressure's gone. If it's not, it'll be just shooting out of there. So then once that's released, then you can release this. And then again, I take and put this in the side of the unit for the winter. In the spring, you just stick it back in there, lift the handle up, lock it in place, and now you're ready to start pumping water into your water heater and turn it on and run your hot water system. Then your door just slides back in there and latches in place for travel. So just behind your driver's side rear tire is our propane fill system. So when you're going to fill up your propane system, this is where you'll have to pull up at the service station. When you get there, the attendant there will be trained to do this. You can't do this yourself. He will hook this up. Like I said, here, he'll open this up, and once he sees a little bit of liquid propane coming out, he knows it's full. You can shut it off, disconnect it, and we'll just want to make sure that he puts that cap back on before you leave the service station to make sure you don't get any dirt and dust in there when you're traveling. All right, so on the side here, we have our generator exhaust coming out the side here. Like I said, so also on the back, our generator door is mounted towards the back of the unit, so we have easy access through the back of it. And also we want to mention that this is a gasoline generator, and our gasoline tank needs to be above a quarter tank in order for our generator to run properly. Now the next thing we're going to come to is our exterior spray port. Now this one doesn't have an exterior shower, but we still wanted to give you the option for water on the outside of the unit. So we give you a little hose here with a garden sprayer end, and the hose just pushes in like so. When it's under pressure, like I said, it gives a lot of, it makes it a little tough to push in there, but you might get a little squirt of water back at you, but like I said, it's not going to be too much. And then of course, just like normal, you just open up the hose to allow the pressure through. Once you want to take this off, make sure you, again, like the water heater, turn off your pressure. Like I said, open this up, push this in, and then the little collar pushes back to release the sprayer out. So that's just how you get that in and out of your system. Always remembering that when you're winterizing, this is one thing you want to remember, is that you want to pump some antifreeze through this. So you'll have to hook this up as you're winterizing, run some antifreeze through it, then disconnect it, and she's ready for the winter for you. Okay, next we come to our utility system center. Like I said, so this gives us a few different components here. Starting at the top left-hand corner, we've got our propane electronic switch. So what this does is it allows us to turn on the propane tank without having to get underneath to turn on a valve or such. It's all electronic nowadays. So whenever you're, like I said, once you've got your tank filled, you turn that on, and then you can go inside and run your different appliances. Make sure that when you're at a gas station filling, that you turn this off, and then go inside and turn off all your individual appliances, just to make sure that nothing tries to light while you're filling your tank. Now below that, we've got a coaxial input. This allows you to hook up to cable TV or a portable satellite dish if you'd like, and runs directly up to where the television is mounted inside the unit. Now in the middle here, we have our city water fill. So what this does is this allows us to hook a garden hose with full city pressure directly into our unit, and this will pressurize our entire water system. So this allows us to have water to all our sinks, taps, toilets, and such without having to use our pump and without having to use our tank, our portable tank that we carry water with us. So if you have access to full service, this is when you want to hook up. Now, going back to winterizing, this is one thing, again, like the low points that we want to remember. So once we've run antifreeze through everything, we turn off our pump, open a tap to release the pressure, take out this little filter, and then inside here there's a little check valve that we just give a little push, and water and a little bit of antifreeze will flow out of here. As soon as you start seeing any pink antifreeze flowing, this thing is properly winterized. You can put your little filter back in there, put the cover on, and you're ready to go. Now lastly, on the back here, we have our 30 amp 110 outlet that allows us to hook our hose, our power cord that comes with the unit into the unit. Like I said, there are 3 little slotted knobs. We just slide it in, give it a little bit of a turn, and then tighten up this little black collar in the back, and that'll lock this in place so it stays solid. That way if somebody trips over your cord, it's not going to pull it out of the unit and you'll lose your power. Now on this cord, you'll also notice that there's a little LED light just to let you know that there's power coming from your plug-in source. That way you know if you've lost power inside the unit, you can tell that up to this point you have good power already. All right, so I think that's it for the driver's side. Let's move around the back. All right, so as we come around the back of the unit, the first thing we're going to notice just under the rear bumper here is our sewer hose holder. So it's just inside here. We just give this a little bit of a turn, and our sewer hose is mounted in there for draining our system that we showed earlier. And then that just goes on and locks in place for travel. Now beside that, we have our hitch on the rear here. Like I said, it allows us to hook up to 7-pin and 4-pin, depending on the kind of trailer or storage carrying capacity we will have on the back of here. Just gives us some options. Now, as we come up the back of the unit, right at the very top, we have our backup camera. Now this is connected directly into our stereo in the front of the unit. As soon as we put the unit in reverse, this camera comes on and gives us a great view behind the unit. Makes it really nice for backing up or just for checking behind us if we're towing something while we're going down the road as well. You can manually turn it on just to give a quick view of that. Now we'll open this up and show you some stuff inside here. Doors just pop open like so. Now the first thing you're going to see is this big gray thing on the bottom. This is where we hide your lithium ion batteries. This is magnetized on, so we just pull it down. Little handle in the middle here, open it up, and your batteries are mounted in behind here. Now off to the left hand side of that is where our charger and our solar controller are mounted, just hidden in behind the carpet there. And then our disconnect key and our alternator reset breakers are mounted up on above the batteries here. So we're going to talk about your batteries in the unit. Your unit comes with 200 amp hour lithium ion batteries. Now to charge these batteries, there are 4 sources in this unit. First of all, your alternator. When you're running your vehicle, the alternator sends a charge back to charge the batteries. Second source would be your shore power. When you have the unit plugged in, shore power comes in, runs through your inverter and charges your battery system that way. Then your generator is another source, creates the power, again, goes through your inverter and charges your battery system. And then your last source would be your solar system, which has its own charge controller. The power comes down through it, through your charge controller to charge the batteries in the back. Okay, just a note about your charge system. None of those charge systems will charge your chassis battery. It will only be charged by your alternator when your vehicle is running. So one component of your charging system is a master volt charger. It is mounted in the rear by your batteries, and what it does is it prevents any surges of power coming from your alternator into the lithium ion batteries, just to make sure that it's got steady charge going into those batteries, just as a prevention method. When we're charging these batteries, there's a couple things we want to remember. First of all is that they need to be above freezing temperature in order for them to charge properly. This is 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The way to check that is on your monitors in the unit, there is a little temperature gauge with a thermistor on the batteries letting you know what temperature the batteries are at. So make sure you have that above that temperature before you start charging your system. So your batteries can discharge when the temperature is below 0, but you just want to make sure that before you start sending a charge into a battery that it gets above that 0 temperature. Now, when you're charging your battery up, the batteries include a charge management system. What this does is it protects it from overcharging. So when your battery gets to 100%, it will not accept a charge anymore. Like I said, it stops, protects the batteries, and prevents it from charging. So when your battery's at 100%, you can still you can plug in your unit or run the generator without worrying about having the temperature above 0 or even your solar system, because the batteries will not accept the charge and they'll be protected from that problem. So there's 2 sources to disconnect the batteries inside the unit. First being a little red button on your monitor that disconnects any 12-volt power source from drawing on your batteries. What this is used for is if you're not using your unit for an extended period of time and not running anything inside your unit, you turn off that and that will disconnect any source from drawing on your batteries, so your batteries will maintain the charge that they hold. One thing it will not do is disconnect charge coming to your batteries from your shore power or your generator. They will continue to charge. Now the second source is a key in the back that disconnects the charge sources from your batteries. So your solar and your alternator. So this means that it can disconnect it so you can run your vehicle when it's below 0, and your solar and your alternator will not try and charge the batteries when they're low. So a little tip about how to check to see if your batteries are actually trying to charge is to go to your monitor panel. There is a real-time amp draw or amp charge dial on it, and it will show whether or not it's a positive or a charge going in or a negative draw on your batteries. If you're driving, usually it'll show about a 40 amp charge from your alternator, and when you're sitting or plugged into shore power, you'll see between 55 and 65 amp input from your inverter as well. So if you're driving and you see that your real-time amp meter is not showing a charge coming from your alternator, right above the batteries there are 2 reset breakers that prevent any overcharge hitting the battery, high amperage output. If you've lost that charge coming from your alternator, check those 2. There's one on the left and one on the right-hand side, and they're just a little reset switch on there that you can push to the side, and you'll hear it snap into place if it has tripped at some point. So you'll notice on your unit here that there's no battery in the front storage compartment here under the hood. Like I said, the battery is actually mounted under the driver's seat. So if you ever need to boost your unit, like I said, there are 2 connection points. One is under this little red tab. Like I said, that'll be your positive connection on your booster cable. And then in behind here, like I said, there's a little bolt just by your hinge here that you connect the negative to. And so that's where your 2 boosting points are. Now we also give you a little tire repair kit. Like I said, it has a little compressor in there and some, I think it's called green goop, like I said, for helping to seal up any minor problems you have driving down the road. Seatbelts are mounted along the back bumper here, like I said, and they just slide up between the seats, making sure you go underneath this bar. Like I said, if they go over top, like I said, it can cause some issues and the seat belts won't work properly. So you want to make sure that you shove them up here and in between the cushions from here. One thing we also have back here is we have our rear screen system. So we just pop up on the rear bumper. There's a couple little catches on either side. Release this and our rear wall comes down. Now you can just zip it down the sides here, like I said, and it seals it up. Like I said, we've got a little magnet on the, Velcro on the bottom here to seal the bottom edge. And then there's a second section as well that allows us to open up so that we have access, and this is right at the height of when your bed is made. Like I said, so this will be just right on top of your bed, allows us to have access out of there when we're sleeping, quick access. Like I said, you can also roll this partially up and lock it in this position. That way you have access to your storage in the rear and still have, like I said, covering for when your bed is in the down position. And then once you're done, like I said, one little quick note. This section here, like I said, allows us to open up completely, but on the other side of it, there is a secondary screen that allows us to open up to a screen inside here as well, so that we can use this screen open and have that so you get fresh air, and then this whole thing blocks off so that we have darkening so that you don't have light coming in while you're sleeping as well. And then to put her away, we just roll her up. Like I said, there's a nice step on the rear bumper, allows us access up here. And it snaps in place, and make sure you tuck it up on top of this wooden valance here. And you're ready to go. Now let's close up the doors and head down the passenger side. Now as we come around, like I said, the first thing we're going to see is our 110 outlet here. So it's got 2 110 outlets with a weather cover on top of it. Now these are GFI controlled outlets. Like I said, they are controlled by one GFI plug inside the unit, like I said, which I'll show you when we go inside. And it controls all the outlets inside, this one here, and the ones in the bathroom as well. So any plug-in you've got there is controlled by that one GFI system. Okay, so now we've got our fresh water or potable water fill system. So we just pop this open. And then we've got a little cap that pops open. This allows us to hook up a garden hose, just stick it in there. And like I said, turn on the hose and this will start filling your fresh tank. Now so when the tank gets full, you can either check by using your, on the control panel inside, the little monitor will give you a reading, letting you know it's up to 100%. Or when it gets completely full, like I said, you'll get some water backing out through here, and that's where you'll know. You can turn off your hose, put your cap back on, lock it in place, and close up the door, and you're ready to start using that with your pump. Now to drain that tank for winter, we want to make sure we have all the water out of the system. Like I said, just underneath the unit here, there's a valve. Like I said, just on the top here, it's a little silver valve. Like I said, we just give it a quarter turn, and like I said, it'll open up and the water will just start flowing. Like I said, the little head will be in line with the drain. Like I said, when it's crossed the drain, you know it's closed and ready to fill water into it. All right, now beside that, we've got, this is venting for our battery system. Even though our lithium ion batteries don't vent, like I said, we put this in there just in case, like I said, somebody changes out the batteries or such. Like I said, this will allow that compartment that's sealed from the inside of the unit to let any venting inside there come out of the unit. Beside that, we have our furnace venting. So this is our exhaust for our furnace. So when our furnace is running, just a warning, this gets extremely hot. Also, we want to make sure we don't have anything like a lawn chair or anything leaning up against here or covering this up, because if this doesn't get proper air, the furnace won't light properly. So you want to make sure that that is clear at all times when you're trying to use your furnace. All right, so now just below our fender on the passenger side here, we've got our BBQ Quick Connect. So like I said, it's got a little valve on the side here. We pop that open. This allows us to remove this little cap, hook up our gas line, so hook into our appliance or barbecue or whatever we're using, and then we flip this up to allow the gas to flow. And like I said, as long as our valve is on the other side, we now have gas to our portable appliance. Now for when we're leaving, we want to make sure we put that little yellow cap back in there, lock it in to keep any dirt and dust out of that so that it's easy to use the next time we want to use it. So just to note that this is a regulated line, this barbecue. Like I said, so making sure that any appliance that you're connecting into there does not have a regulator in the line already. Otherwise, the gas flow will be too low and your appliance won't work properly. Next thing we've got is our main entry door. We'll just pop this open. And this just gives us access to inside where we can use our control panel to bring out our awning. So on your control panel, under the mechanical screen, we've got the controls for your awning for extend and retract. We're just going to push the extend and bring the awning out to show you how it works. Now, this carefree awning automatically comes out by itself. Like I said, just one button push. Like I said, it'll just come out, and once it gets to full extension, it will stop. Like I said, we're going to just stop it partway just so we can show you how it works today. And we're also so that we can show you the LED lights underneath. Like I said, just run along underneath the system. They're on the lighting page on your control panel. Just make sure you shut them off before you close your awning up. And then again, one button, retract. Like I said, your awning brings itself back in. Now your awning is a sunshade awning is what we call them. They have no legs or external support. So we say that they are designed only to be used in sunny weather. They're not to be in rain or wind or such, like I said. But there is a small wind sensor built into the front that if there's a little bit of extra movement, the awning will try and retract by itself to help save it from any damage. Okay, so now we'll go in and show you the rest of the control panel. Your Pleasureway unit is equipped with two 10-inch touchscreen control panels, one in the front and one in the back. And today we're going to be going through the front one here to explain all the features that are included in it. We're going to start right on the top left-hand corner here. Like I said, we've got our climate control system with our thermostat adjustments at the top here. A little white button here that allows us to just finger touch to adjust the temperature settings. And below that we have your different modes, which allow us to go through your furnace, air conditioner, and fantastic fan. As we click on it, like I said, first we get a little snowflake saying AC. Of course, the air conditioner will kick in when the temperature gets above what the thermostat is set at. Next, we've got our furnace, Truma furnace system. Just like your house, you turn it on, set the temperature, and once the temperature gets below what the thermostat is set at, the furnace will automatically kick in and out as necessary. The last one being your fantastic fan on the ceiling. Again, like I said, when you set the temperature, when the temperature gets above what it's set at, the fan will automatically open the lid. The fan will come on to exhaust any of the excess heat inside the unit. And then once you go back around, it shuts to the off mode, and that will turn off all three of those appliances. And then on the right hand side here, we have our fan mode. So this uses the air conditioner just to move air throughout the unit. You need 110 power to run this. First, we'll have fan auto, which means it will automatically kick in when the air conditioner is turned on and needs it. Or if you just want to run the fan itself, you turn that on, and there's a fan low and fan high mode, which will allow you to run just the fan on the air conditioner just to move air. Below that, we have some lighting options here. These are quick access light controls. It allows us to turn on our porch light, our entry light just inside the door, our awning light, and then the backlight for the whole screen, so that you can turn that off so that you don't get that light shining around in your unit when you're sleeping at night. So up on the top right hand side here, we've got our DC power source, and tells us how much battery life we've got. So right now we've got about 61%. The batteries are at 67 degrees Fahrenheit, so great for charging. And we've got 13.7 volts going into the battery, because right now we're at positive 59 amps. So the shore power is sending power through the inverter to charge the batteries right now at that power source. So we can see right here below it in AC source that we are in shore power. As we switch through the sources, if we unplug the unit and turn on our inverter, this will show inverter power. And then again, like I said, if we were to run the generator, it would show generator here as well. So right in the center here, we have the generator. Little lightning bolt here lets you know that it's stopped right now with a cross through it. When it started, this will light up, that little cross will go away, and this will light up blue. All you have to do is hold down the start button. You'll hear the generator start to turn over. Once you hear it catch, then you can release the start button, and the generator should start up. The power will, in about 15 seconds, the transfer switch will switch over, and you will see that the source will go from either inverter or from nothing to generator, just to let you know that the generator is running and now you have a power source. Now below that, we have our water heater. Click on it. Once you do that, it'll switch over to the Truma AquaGo screen. Now this allows you to choose two different modes, Eco or Comfort. Eco being just a mode that allows it to use the minimum amount of gas just to keep it warm. Like I said, so it makes it easier to heat up your water heater once you get to the campground. And in comfort mode being the main mode you'd use to get your constant supply of hot water. So like I said, you click on one of those, it'll turn on, and then you can adjust your temperature that will be coming out of your taps. Standard at 107 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a pretty hot temperature. So most people just leave it right in there. And then you just push the OK button, and the water heater will turn on, and it will start going through its cycle. It'll start heating the water, sending water out to the taps, so that when you turn on the taps, you'll have hot water immediately. I'm going to shut that off right now, since we're not going to be using it. We just hit the off button, and then OK, and that'll turn it back off. Now beside that is your water pump. Like I said, this is if you're using water from your fresh tank. You just turn that on. Like I said, the little blue light will come on again. Your pump will draw water from your fresh tank. Once it's pressured up to about 50 psi, it will shut itself off. And then when you ask for water, the pump will kick back on and give you a constant water supply, and then shut back off when you turn off the source, and it pressures back up. Now, speaking of your different water sources, right here on the far right-hand side, we've got our three different water sources. Our fresh tank, so that we can carry water with us, sometimes it's called the potable water. And then our gray water, which is our tank for our waste water from our sink, our shower, and our bathroom sinks. And then your black tank, which of course is your toilet, where your wastewater goes in. So right now they're all empty, so we'll say 0%. As you fill up your fresh tank, it'll go from 25, 50, 75, and 100. And of course, as you're using it, it'll slowly drop. And then the gray and the black's the opposite way around. As you're using your sinks and toilet, the water lines will go up from 25, 50, 75, and then up to 100%, and you'll know it's time to empty them out completely. I recommend not draining the gray or the black until they're at the 50 to 75% mark. Otherwise, you won't have enough moisture in there to move any, especially in the black tank, to move any of the solid waste out of the line as well. Now on the very, very bottom of that, we do have one more tank, and that is your propane tank. So right now it's empty. There's a little bit of pressure in there, just residual pressure from the tank. But when you go to a service station and fill it up, this will go all the way up to 100%. And then, like I said, as you use it, again, it will slowly move its way down, letting you know that when it's time to go and fill it up. All right, let's move on to the next screen. Your next screen is your lighting screen, your master lighting. So as you see, like I said, some of these are blue and a couple are gray. All the ones that are blue are on. You can turn them on and off individually just by clicking on them. And then you can turn them all off by using your master switch on the bottom here. That will turn those on, all except for these two middle. The reason why is those are our exterior lights, so we don't want to have them on all the time. So like I said, we've got our porch light, which is usually just outside the entry here, and then our awning, which is on the awning's front bar. Again, you can just turn it on and off, and you'll see the blue light to let you know that that light is on. On a few of these, you'll see that there's a little slider bar on them. What this allows you to do is to dim that individual light. So you just hold it down, and you can slide that little white ball back and forth, and it will dim that section. And you can set each one individually, and then again, just turn all of them off. And when you turn them back on, they'll go back to your preset settings. Makes it nice and easy for you. Let's move to the next screen. So in the top left-hand corner, we have another DC monitor, just like the one on the main screen. It'll tell us our battery power, like I said, how much power is going in and what our system is charging at. And then below that, it'll tell us that it's charging. And then on this side, while we've got power going in, it'll tell us how much time is till it's fully charged. When we disconnect it and it's drawing, this will then tell you how much time you have left on your battery power. It's a good estimation for you just to keep track of how long your batteries will be lasting for you. Now below that, we have our solar charger button here to turn it on and off. And here it'll tell you how many volts it can supply, how much charge, and how many amps. Because we're inside a building right now, it's showing 0 amps. But if we're outside, this would go up and let you know how much sunlight is charging your system. Now you can click this little button here, and this gives you a more detailed version of what it's doing and what kind of charge it's sending into your batteries, your historical amps, how many amps your batteries had put in through your solar system, what kind of batteries, we've already set that, how many amp hours, again, we've already set that because of the batteries we put in the system. And then again, we've got another thermistor gauge here to let us know the temperature at the batteries. And again, with just some extra voltage amounts here, the maximum amount charging and the maximum amount your current it's allowing through the system, all settings that we've already preset for you. So on the top right hand side of the screen, we now have our AC power. If we're on shore power, of course, it'll tell you how many volts you're coming in through your shore power, how many amps you're drawing, and then what frequency that AC power is running. Should be around 55 to 60 hertz. If you've got outside of that range, there may be a problem with your power source. And again, if your voltage, like I said, it'll tell you at your campground whether or not you've got good power coming in. You should have in the 100 to 120 volt coming in at the campground there. Now on the right hand side of that same screen, we've got our energy management system. Depending on what source you're using, this will control if you're drawing too much power on your system. What it does is if, say, you've got 30 amp and you're drawing too much power, like I said, say you're using your cooktop and your microwave and something else, what'll happen is this will automatically adjust and shut off your microwave first, make sure that everything else continues to run, and then if it's still drawing too much power, it'll cut off your cooktop until it equalizes that power. Then once the other source is that's drawing too much power, so once it's shut down, then these will slowly kick back on, cooktop first, and then microwave, and restore power to those sources for you. Below that, we have our AC source, sort of like on the front, but this shows all three sources at the same time, and then just sends the little blue line up to the source that we're using right now. So right now we're using our shore power. If we turn that off, it would come over to inverter because we've got the inverter on. And then if we wanted to use the generator, we turn on the generator and it would switch from inverter to generator because it considers generator the primary source. So generator will take over from inverter and give you your charge from that. Now below that, we have another place to start up our generator, just like on the front screen, a start and stop button that we can manually do it. Or on the left-hand side of it, we have our AGS system, or automatic generator start. What this does is allows us to set all the times and such that we want. So we can go into a manual where you can physically go in and adjust all the little things. I like to just use easy setup. It's the easiest one for most of our customers. What it does is allows it to go through and allows when you want to start the generator, whether or not you want it when the air conditioner kicks on, when the batteries get low, how low you want the batteries to get before it will start up automatically, how charged you want the batteries to get before it will shut off the generator, and then how long you want it to run. So if you've got it kicking in when your air conditioner kicks in, this lets you know that once your air conditioner gets to temperature and your air conditioner kicks off, how long you want to let the generator to keep running to keep charging up the battery after the air conditioner is kicked off. And then the bottom is anytime it starts, what's the maximum time you want it to run. So whether or not you want it charging or whether or not you want the air conditioner running, do you only want it to do it for 2 hours? Do you want it to do for 1 hour and such? So that gives you that option as well. Next, we've got our quiet time settings. So a lot of campgrounds don't allow you to run your generator during certain hours. So you can automatically set this so that your automatic generator start system will not kick in during those times. And you can set it for each individual campground if you like. Just go in and adjust before you park and it'll do it for you automatically. Then you just put finish and all of your settings are set. Then you just push the AGS button. Hold the continue button for 5 seconds. And your little AGS light will come on to let you know that all those settings you just set are ready. We're going to turn that back off so it doesn't kick in. When you do it manually, it'll give you a little notice to let you know why the generator AGS is no longer working. In this case, the user manually disabled the AGS. So that's the one you're probably going to see the most often when you shut it off manually. And then you continue and it'll go back to your main screen. All right, let's move on to the next screen. Our next screen is our mechanical screen, and it runs a few of the mechanical items on our unit. First, our fantastic fan on our right-hand side here allows us to open and close the lid electronically. And then once it's open, we can turn on the fan and we can adjust the fan speed here, at least physically. Unlike the main screen where you can do it thermostatically, this allows you to manually turn on and off your fantastic fan and just run it however you like, say for venting while you're cooking or the such, just for a short period of time. And then when you shut it down, it automatically turns off the fan and closes the lid for you. On the top left-hand corner here, we have our sofa. So this is for making your bed up. All you have to do is push the button and hold it. Like I said, you'll actually see your sofa reclining into the flat position. Once it's done, you just let go. And then to retract it back into your seating position, you just hold the retract button and wait until it gets to its full retract position. And then let go once you see it get to the top. And below that, we have our awning. Again, just hold the button to extend your awning. Once it gets all the way to the end, you just release. A lot of times I'll bring it all the way out and then you'll see the fabric sort of sag a little bit. So then I'll just tap the retract button just a little bit to tighten up the fabric for you. And then when you go to put it away, you push the retract button, hold it until you hear the awning click back into place. Now there is one little thing at the bottom here. If you see this is when your vehicle is running. You'll see a little red light here to let you know that your awning is locked out. What this means is your awning will not extend or retract when that button is on. So on our last page, we have sort of generic adjustments. It allows us to adjust our temperature units, whether or not we want Fahrenheit or Celsius. Allows us to adjust the backlighting on the screen. So if you find it's too hard on your eyes, you can adjust that. We've got our clock, so you can adjust it for your time zone, wherever you are. And then screen settings allows us to adjust how long the screen stays on once we're not using it, whether or not we want a dark or a light scheme, what page you want to come up automatically, whether or not you want your light page to come up or the home screen, and which lights you want on that main screen. And then below that, we've got our diagnosis. It's mainly for us to give us some idea of if there's any problems. It'll give some red lights to let you know that things aren't working. The G12 is almost like our fuse panel. It'll show little blue lights for circuits that are on running right now, so living room lights and such like that. And then gray lights for ones that are off at the moment. And then if there's a problem, it'll show one of these as a red light. All I have to do is turn the main battery disconnect off, hold it for a few seconds, turn it back on, and it'll reset those switches, and you can come back and check on those. And then the DCM3 gives you some more detailed information about battery health and diagnostics with some current power flow, and again, another battery temperature setting. And then if there's any major faults, it'll come up here, and you'll also see it on the main screen. Right at the top here, you'll get a little triangle here showing you that there's a fault, and then you can go back into this and it'll give you a detailed list of what exactly is happening with the fault system. All right, so that's it for our main control panel. Okay, so now we're inside your unit, like I said, just inside the kitchen area, and we're going to start right above the main entry door here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is your inverter. Like I said, this is your main remote panel for your inverter. Like I said, nice and easy. All you do is a little button at the bottom here for on and off. Like I said, the middle button allows us to go through the different screens. Will give us some readings on voltages and stuff like that. Just some secondary things that our control panel already talk about. Just are done as a separate thing on the remote here. Now, just in front of the remote, we have two thermistors. Now these are designed, one of them sends a temperature reading of the ambient temperature inside the unit to the control panel. The other one is a sensor for the furnace. Like I said, just to let it know what temperature it's in here as well, so that they sort of work off each other, just so that you can get a steady temperature inside the unit when your furnace is running. Speaking of your furnace, we're actually going to drop right down to the floor real quick here. Like I said, you'll notice there are a little ducted line here. There are 3 of those inside your unit here, and when your furnace is running, that is where your hot air will come from. So as we move down your kitchen here, we've got your main kitchen sink, like I said, with a swivel head faucet. On the top here, we have your induction cooktop. Like I said, you need some special pots and pans in order to work with this. It uses a magnetic to bring the burner up once you turn it on to heat any of your appliances. You've got a couple different options, heat and temperature. Heat being just 1 through 10, like I said, just like a burner on your stove. And temperature being like your oven. You can actually set the actual temperature you want the element to get to. And below that, just under the edge of the cupboard here, is your microwave. This is a convection microwave, like I said, so it allows you to cook just like an oven in here, as well as do your quick cooking, your microwave cooking. Now, these two appliances are hooked into the EMS system, like I said, so that we mentioned on your control panel. So, like I said, if you're having issues with this, check your control panel and see if your EMS may have tripped. The other thing you want to check real quick is just above our fridge here, in the top here, we have 2 GFI breakers tied into your induction and your microwave. So again, like I said, if one of them is tripped, you'll see the little red light, and then it'll reset like so to allow that appliance to continue running. Now below this, of course, we have our fridge. Like I said, the controls for it are just underneath the freezer compartment in the back. It's just a little dial. You just turn it on, set whatever temperature you want, and you're ready to go. It's a 12-volt compressor fridge. So like I said, this will run off your batteries, or like I said, through your inverter using, or your shore power using the conversion in the inverter system. All right, now below this we have our AC control panel. Like I said, this allows us to get at our breakers, just like your household outlet, our household breaker panel. You can just flip those breakers on and off if you're having some issues. On the floor here, we also have our carbon monoxide propane detector. Now this is wired into your main batteries. It'll be on as soon as your main battery switches on. And this will let you know whether or not you've got any propane leaks or excess carbon monoxide inside the unit. Okay, so in the back here we have our entertainment center. We've got our television, we've got our sound bar, and then just above our closet we have our Blu-ray player. They are all already tied into each other, like I said, and can be controlled with the 3 remotes that come in your package, like I said, and then all of them are plugged inside the closet here. So we can just open up the closet, and on the top right hand corner, like I said, all the outlets for these are plugged in. Now these are 110 appliances, of course, so you either need shore power, generator, or the inverter on in order to run these appliances. Now on the top left hand corner, we have our antenna. Like I said, that's mounted on the roof. It's a nice easy one. You just turn it on with the top right corner, you'll see the light shone, and it'll tell you how many channels it's found for your area. If you can't find any, on the top right hand corner, you can push the little button and it will do an auto search. So you just push that button and you'll see the little red light going on. Now the antenna is going through its little motion and looking for the best quality signals it can pick up in your area. Okay, so we have our TV out for showing right now. Like I said, so for travel, we want to just make sure it's locked in place. And then there's a little lever here at the bottom that you can just pull to pull it back out for when we want to sit in a different place to watch the television. Okay, so now we're in the driver's side rear ottoman. Just remove the cushions here. And this gives us access to some different components. We've got our transfer switch, which automatically switches between our generator and shore power for us. Like I said, we've got a little access panel here that gives us some access into some of our electronics. Okay, so as we come in here, we've got our Truma main control board here. This, like I said, in case we can't access things from our control panel, this is where we come looking for errors and stuff. This controls our water heater and our furnace. Like I said, behind that, we have our 50 amp DC breaker for our fuses and appliances, and then we have our 80 amp breaker for our generator's 12 volt power. So once we come around the front, now this is where our main GFI I was talking about earlier. This controls all the breakers inside, or all the outlets inside the unit and outside the unit. Kitchen, bathroom, like I said, outside plug. So when trips, they said you'll see the little red light on, and then to reset all those outlets, all you do is push that little button. Now all your outlets will be working again. Okay, let's talk about your Pleasureways power system. There are 2 different sources of power inside your Pleasureway unit, and that includes an AC source and a DC source. DC, direct current, being your battery source, which supplies power directly to things like your USB ports, your LED lighting, your furnace motor and ignition, your water heater ignition. The second source is an AC source. This does things like your microwave, your induction cooktop, your air conditioner, and all your outlets inside your unit. For a complete list of all the AC or DC appliances in your unit, just check your manual. Like I said, there's a complete list included in there. When we're talking about AC source, there are 3 different ways to get AC power in your unit. The first being, of course, shore power, which is your plug-in that plugs into the side of the unit, plugs into a wall or a power box at the campground, and sends power just like your house would use. Okay, your second source for power is your generator, which will be used through gas to supply onboard power from the generator into your unit. And the third is inverter power. Now this takes your DC, your batteries, and changes that DC power into AC power, then supplies that AC power out to all the outlets and stuff I was talking about earlier. Now, to figure out when's the best time to use these 3 power sources, if you've got access to full-time power at your campsite, shore power is always your best option for using AC power. Now, if you're dry camping, say a parking lot or away from power, and you've got full battery power, your inverter is your best option. It will supply your power. Now, if your batteries are low and you're still away from a power source, then we want to use your generator, because your generator will supply your power and will charge your batteries at the same time. All right, so your Pleasureway unit comes with a 30 amp 110 power cord. It is a 3-prong plug like such, and this allows you to run everything inside your unit, from air conditioner to induction cooktops to microwaves, whatever your unit comes with, this will run it. Now, we also have an adapter from 30 amp down to 15 amp. This allows you to plug in to a household outlet and will give you the ability to run pretty much everything in your unit except for the air conditioner. The air conditioner needs over 25 amps in order to start up. So like I said, this will not be enough to run that system. Now, one little caveat is there is such a thing as 30 amp 220. This will stick into it. If you plug it into that though, it will fry everything 110 in your unit. So just be careful. Most campgrounds are all 110. Most house outlets are all run to 110. But every once in a while you'll find somebody who's run their own one and wired it into 220. So just make sure before you hook up your system that you are hooked up to 110. So if a DC source has stopped working in your unit or tripped because of a short or something like that, your DC supply will automatically reset the breaker for each one of those circuits in the unit. On your G12 on your control panel, if you notice that one of the little blue lights beside an appliance is on, indicating that the appliance should be working and it is not, you'll want to go to the driver's side rear Ottoman and check your 50 amp disconnect breaker. It may have tripped. You may need to reset it. Once you reset it, that will now allow the power to flow through to all your appliances again. If your AC source has tripped because of a power surge or something like that, you have to go to your main breaker panel, check your breakers just like in your house, and if one is tripped, you just push it down, flip it back up, and that will reset your breaker and restart that circuit. So just a quick troubleshooting tip on your Pleasureway van's Awning generator. There are a couple of breakers on your generator system that control the power for it. So one is under the driver's side rear Ottoman. It's an 80 amp reset breaker, and this controls the 12 volt power going to your generator. So check this if your generator is not starting. Now, if your generator starts and you're still not getting 110 power inside the unit, on the generator just inside the door, there's a little reset breaker. Just like on your main breaker system, it's just a quick flip up and down. Flip it up, and that'll allow the power to flow out of your generator. All right, so for generator maintenance, we recommend that you run your generator once a month for 30 minutes on half a load. When you're putting your unit away for storage, you want to make sure that your gas tank is above a quarter tank in order to run your generator for maintenance during the winter. When you're going to run your generator for maintenance in the winter, you want to make sure that your batteries are at 100% charge, or that the temperature is above 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit before you start running your generator. So when you're trying to heat up your batteries before running your generator, the easiest way to do it is to open up the battery box and run your furnace. That'll help heat your battery compartment up faster before you start running your generator. To run your generator on half load, the easiest way is to use about a 1,000 watt little heater or hairdryer in order to help bring up that load for that half-hour run. Okay, so next we're going to talk about our table system here. Our table has a swivel system that allows us to bring it out and use it pretty much anywhere we want in the rear of the unit. Like I said, uses these little levers here to lock it in place or to remove it. Like I said, loosens up and will just come off completely. So the base has got its own separate lever. Like I said, you just give it a twist and this will slide off this. And then this leg here will actually slide onto the bottom of the table for transit, or when you're not using it, like so. All right, so we're behind the driver's seat. Here is where this table goes for when we're in transit. It just locks in place like so, and now we're ready to go with it. Okay, so now we're going to set up the bed here. First thing we're going to do is go to the mechanical page on the control panel, and we'll push the extend button and bring down the bed. Okay, so now that our bed is down in position, so we're going to go into the closet and get our extension boards here. So there's two boards just like this, and what they do is they just fit in between the seats. There's a little spot like this. Got them both out here. And then once that's in place, then we bring the backs of the chairs out and just fill them in to complete our bed. Now this can be left in this position for travel. You can have the bed made up so that if you know you're going to end up at your campsite late at night, you can have your bed all ready and, like I said, still have access to all the rest of your components, including your shower. Okay, so now we're back by the entrance here. We're going to go in and show the bathroom here. So open up the door. Like I said, so this is sort of a wet bathroom. Like I said, so we've got a shower pan as part of underneath the toilet. Like I said, so it allows us to use this whole bathroom as your shower. There's a shower curtain up behind the toilet here that allows us to cover the whole bathroom. It just pulls all the way across and will protect any wood components inside here that aren't sealed. Like I said, and then our toilet on the floor here. You just pop it open. Like I said, it has a foot flush on the right hand side. You just push that down, it opens up the valve and allows any of your waste to drop into your black tank. Now, couple things we want to talk about with the toilet is, first of all, we want to make sure that we're using RV toilet paper when we're using our toilet. Like I said, it's the only thing that's guaranteed to break down inside the tank to help keep our tank fresh and and working properly. Like I said, the next thing we want to make sure is that we use some toilet chemical. Like I said, I just usually drop it right down through the toilet. We flush the toilet, drop it down, add a little bit of water, and that creates a slurry in the bottom of our black tank to help break down the solid waste. Making sure that every time you flush, you add just a little bit extra water than you'd think you normally wouldn't use, just to help keep the moisture level up in the tank. It helps wash out the tank when you go to drain it when you get to the dump station. And on the front, we've got a portable shower head attached directly to the sink. All you have to do is pull the head of the shower at the sink up, like I said, and that will activate the shower. Like I said, just making sure, like I said, we do have an outlet in there. We want to try not to get as much water on it, but it is connected into the GFI, so if it does get wet, it will trip that and you won't be any worry of safety concerns in there. Okay, so underneath our fridge here, we've got our access to our water heater bypass. So we'll just take this cover off real quick. And then off on the far left-hand side here, we've got 4 valves. Like I said, on the bottom, we've got a blue valve, like I said, that is our cold water input. Like I said, so we give that a quarter turn to shut it off. Like I said, in the middle, there's a red and blue valve. Like I said, connected between them. Like I said, we turn that one on. That allows the antifreeze to flow through the hot line. At the top, we have a red line. Like I said, we turn that off. Like I said, again, quarter turn. Like I said, and that allows, so no water coming from inside the tank comes back through the system. And then one white line, it is our recirculating line. This is the line that allows hot water to flow out to all our taps and keep the hot water out at our taps at all times. And we shut that off. Like I said, that'll bypass our water heater, and now we're ready to add antifreeze. Okay, so next for part of our winterizing, we're going to get underneath the kitchen sink and get at our water pump. So we'll just open up the doors here. Our water pump is at the bottom here. On the far left-hand side, you'll see a filter. So we're going to disconnect the water line from the edge of the filter, hook up our suction line for our antifreeze, hook it on there, stick it in our antifreeze, turn on our pump, and we're ready to start winterizing. All right, so that is it for our walkthrough on the Ontour 2.2 today. Like I said, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact either your dealer or our helpline, and always remember to check your manuals as well. They have tons of good information for you. Good day.